We are your home theater and AV questions answered. This is AVRant. Want your home theater or AV question answered by Tom and Rob? Send it to question@avrant.com. Welcome to AVRant. I'm Tom Andry, and I'm here with
Rob H.
All right, last week. These are questions from last week that we didn't get to, and there's quite a few of them. Jonathan S. Now, there's going to be some images at some point. I won't be able to see them.
Yeah.
Now, Jonathan says that listening to us has encouraged him to take the plunge and plan out his future home theater. He will be building a new house starting in the next 4 months or so. He's carved out a dedicated theater space. Now, this space is 17 feet, 7 inches wide, 24 feet, 8 inches.
How are you getting mixed up? We typed this out long
Shut
form.
Up. It's too fast. 17 feet by 17 inches, 24 feet long, and 8 feet 8 inches high, plus a 3 foot by 11 foot bar area over. This is
okay. X's are no good. I will have to type out the word "by."
No, I don't want the "by." Okay, what I want is I want the hashtags. All right.
Oh, so no way, no. We tried that before, and you cannot read that at all.
I am going to come across this computer and slap you in Canada where you stand, sir. I can read that.
How could this be? This cannot be any clearer. Other than trading X's for the word "by." That's the only way we can make this clearer. Good grief.
I think maybe they all need to be on individual lines. Maybe that'll help.
Could be. Yeah, we'll put some paragraph breaks in between for you.
Anyways, it's a room. Put the picture up and shut up about it. It's 4,000 cubic feet. He'll have an acoustically transparent false wall up front with stage, a front row for the kids with big chaise lounge couch seating. The second row will be the primary row with 5 theater recliner seats on the riser and the bar area at the back to accommodate more guests, but that back area isn't a high priority for audio. He'd like around a 45-degree field of view for movies from the primary row, which again is the second row on the riser. He's planning on having double studs, double drywall, and green glue, and even dual doors, meaning this room will be very soundproof. So it's going to be 2 doors, one that opens in, one that opens out. You can see that on the picture, if the picture's up there. If you can't,
it is. Yep.
There. Despite the impressive room size and soundproof construction, he doesn't want to spend a ton on speaker and gear. And he's hoping for around $250 each for the speakers, or $500 each max. So he will go up to $500. I kept it at $250 when I looked up stuff. And we'd like to know if a single SVS PB1000 subwoofer would be sufficient and what speakers will we recommend. Now, how big is this room? 4,000 cubic feet? PB1000?
About 4,000 cubic feet.
Yeah, I don't think so, dude. Not really.
Yeah, it wouldn't be what I would recommend, and I will definitely recommend 2 because you have a lot of seats. And you've said that they're probably going to be populated a good amount of the time. Now, maybe the kids sitting in the front row really don't care about the base being uneven, but you will care.
It's going to be awfully hard to calibrate for. He's got 5 seats, so I imagine he'll be the one in the very center. And maybe
probably,
if he's not. I don't know. I would go for dual subwoofers here, and really this is PB1000 is not big enough. Frankly, that's just not. I mean, it's physically large enough, but it doesn't have enough oomph to pressurize this room by itself. And even dual PB1000s, I don't think would be enough. You got to go to the 2000 series for sure.
It would be very nice, yeah. I mean, I can easily recommend dual PC 2000 cylinders. Those could stand up nicely behind your acoustically transparent screen, behind your false wall at the front of the room. Now, I mean, it doesn't look like he really has a layout that would be conducive to having speakers that are positioned across the room from one another. At the back of his room is going to be a bar, so that can't really put a subwoofer there. The corners are basically filled with either a door or with his AV rack. The sides of the room are already fairly constricted because he's got, a fairly wide seating planned out, so he can't really do the midpoints of the 2 side walls. So you know what? I'm okay with putting 2 subwoofers up front if you have no other choice. If you do a little bit of wiggling with the fully variable phase that is available on those subwoofers, or you're using Odyssey Multi-Q XT32 that can set independent distances, which is just another way of setting the delay or the phase of the subwoofers, but it can do that independently, you can make this work. So you definitely have the space behind that false wall at the front of your room, and you definitely want dual subwoofers to get more even bass across all of your seats. So yeah, PC 2000s would be a great choice. Another good choice might be from Outlaw Audio, because he says he wants to keep the price down. So their Ultra X12 subwoofers, you can get a pair of those for $1,200. The pair of PC2000s would be $1,500. So you can save $300 there by going with the Outlaw, the Ultra X12s. They do go on sale occasionally, so maybe keep an eye out for them to possibly go on sale. But yeah, consider spending about $1,200 on a pair of subs, and that'll work out much more nicely. Then speakers, I don't know, what do you have for that?
Okay, so I'm looking at this again, and I'm wondering, because I guess that's a bar back there, right? That's
yeah, it's a bar at the back of the room there.
It's going to be right behind the chairs, so I guess people can sit there and face the movie as it's going on.
That's right, yeah.
Back there. Well, okay, so what I'm thinking is a subwoofer for your center channel stand, and a subwoofer underneath this, not going to be enclosed, more like a big table.
Oh, I see. So use the bar itself as a way to hide the second sub at the back of the room?
Put it right behind the main seats, kind of. And the other one, scoot it forward, right dead center of the room, right underneath the subwoofer, that center channel, and use it as your center channel stand. You would have to go with the box in that case, and the Ultras, whatever the Outlaw ones, might be the way to go there. The second one could go right underneath.
Or SVS PB2000s could also do that.
Yeah, I don't know how big the Outlaws are, but those BBs, those are big. Those are wabba. Make a cardboard box. But that's where I would put that. Now, as far as speakers, I went to Accessories for Less and looked at bookshelf speakers, because as big as this room is, you're not sitting that far away from stuff. Yeah. Not really. So I don't think you need anything more than bookshelf speakers with dual subwoofers. You're going to have plenty of bass, so you don't have to worry about that. So basically, I just sorted bookshelf speakers by size and ignored everything that said Cambridge Audio on it. And then the KEFs, the Q300s, the bookshelf speakers are $3.99 a pair. You can go up to let me see here. If you're willing to spend a little bit more, you can go to the Focal 905s, the Area 905s for $700 a pair. So that's $350 each.
Yeah.
Let's see. And the KEF reference series, which would sound really good. The R100s are $1,000 a pair, which is still in your price range.
Yeah, just at the max of your budget there. Yeah.
So that's kind of what those are the ones I would be looking at.
Okay.
Those bookshelves there, and you could easily have some really good sounding speakers. I don't know. Have you heard those Focals? I haven't heard those Focals.
Those are part of the Chorus series, the 700 series, I think. So yeah, I have heard those. So yeah, I'm a fan of Focal in general, and the KEFs would work really nicely too, because those are the concentric driver layout with the front ported design. So that means it'll easily go behind a false wall up at the front of your room. You won't have any concerns whatsoever about porting or where things are facing or anything like that. My suggestion here would be Ascend Acoustics. I would go with their
everybody.
I know. I would go with their CMT 340 SEs up front, because if you do want some crazy dynamics, those can do it for you at a very reasonable price. In my opinion, you're looking about $550 for the pair, and they're free shipping actually on the CMT 340s. And then one other reason I like Ascend for this layout is coming up when he's talking about some other things about like Atmos and that, they have their HTM 200 SEs, which are about 6 inches deep from front to back, and they're sealed, and they're easy to wall mount or ceiling mount, which is something that he's going to be concerned with. So sound quality wise, they'll match perfectly with the CMT 340s, and then they're this nice form factor that will work for other things that he wants to do. So it's certainly within your price range. But yeah, I'm also very good with the suggestions that Tom made. So check them all out, see what appeals to you most.
So there's actually, within Focal, there's the Chorus line, the 706 version 2s, which are $500 a pair. And there's the Aria line, the 905s, which are $700 a pair. So there's actually two different options there from Focal. And later on, we can talk about the ceiling options there as well with them. Okay, as he says, he's wiring for 7.1.4. He meant 2.4. He just forgot. But could almost always certainly make do with 7.2.2 or 5.2.4. Which configuration we would recommend? And since he'd prefer to avoid drilling holes in his soundproof ceilings or walls, You're not going to get away with that from that, dude. That's just, there's no way of getting around that. Should he construct boxes to hold in-ceiling speakers, or do we have suggestions for speakers that wouldn't hang down too low that you could just mount on his ceiling? Now, you're going to have to put something in the wall, because if you're mounting something to your ceiling or your wall, there's going to be a screw involved. There's no sticker.
But is the difference between something just large enough for the speaker wire to come through and just large enough to hold the bracket that holds a speaker versus an actual like hole cut large enough to hold a 6.5-inch driver or something, in ceiling speakers. So.
But if you're getting in ceiling speakers that are sealed anyways, and you're mounting them directly to the stud, which would be in some, or just the drywall, a lot of them just are mounted to the drywall, then I wouldn't worry about it. The whole idea of that drywall being inert, having the two depths in the green glue, is that you're soundproofing, you're deadening it from there. But if you're really super worried about it, you're still gonna have to put a screw in it, a couple of them, or drywall anchors or something like that. So the focals we've talked about a couple of times, the little birds and the whatever ones you talked about, those little flat ones, those could be on ceiling speakers.
The little birds, the birds, and the super birds.
Right.
So all part of the same line, of course, and all wall mountable. And then the birds come with a nice little sort of tri-stand thing that's easy to secure to a wall or a ceiling.
Right. So you could use something like that if you went the focal route.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, if you go ascend, the HTM 200 SEs would be the obvious choice, particularly for ceiling mounting, because they have that 6-inch depth from front to back, and that's all you're dealing with.
Yeah, how tall is this room again? I know I said it like 10 times and ignored it.
8 feet 8 inches.
So you would still be within your 8 foot.
Oh yeah, he's got. I believe he's got easily enough height to have a 6-inch speaker.
Yeah. All right, so he's considering making DIY absorption panels. He says he'd actually like the look of them. He'd actually like the look of them as they would make the room look more like a theater. Good. So should he start at just the first reflection points, or is there anything about his proposed layout that would suggest where he needs absorption panels the most? Okay, so if you're really going to do this whole, I'm going to look at your picture again here. Hold on a second. But if you're really going to do this whole theater thing, what you really want to do is wrap all these walls, put like some furring strips basically, or a little thicker than that, out from your wall and then just wrap the whole thing in fabric, and then you can put whatever you want behind it at whatever point you want it to be. That's what professional theater people do when they build these things. They put in fake columns, right, that are not really holding anything up, so that they can put in panels behind them and then put fabric on top of that just stretches across, and you change the color of the fabric, or you can make it look however you want, make it look like the Starship Enterprise or whatever you want. You can do all that stuff within this little maybe 4 to 6 inch gap that you've created between the fabric and the actual wall. That being said, if you're looking for panels, first reflection points are a nice place to look. If it were me, I would put them at the first reflection points, and then I would put some, maybe about that wide, as wide as they are, which is going to be about 2 feet, plus another foot on either side, so another 2 feet. I'd put another one, and just kind of keep it uniform all the way around to make it look nice. You want base trapping in the corners, so some sort of corner trap, and if you can get all 4 corners or as many of the corners as you can. And behind your false wall, you could put just as much as you want, like floor to ceiling. Just be goofy with it, and you don't have to, because this will be a false wall anyways. Nobody's can see anything. So you don't even have to cover it and make it look nice, because you're just going to have that fabric on that false wall that you're not going to, this acoustically transparent fabric that you're going to be able to put whatever you want back there. But in the actual room, I would just actually make sure I hit the first reflection points, make sure I've got something on that back wall, and then the front wall, I would just kill it with that front wall.
Yeah, what I would say is actually a lot of what you could do in a room like this could be hidden. Because you've got that false wall, so everything behind that false wall, you could fill the whole thing up with insulation if you wanted to. There's nothing really preventing you from doing that. Also, you're going to have this riser for the second row. Make sure that the riser is breathable, that the air can go underneath that riser and then fill underneath the riser with insulation. That can be a fantastic base trap that you'll never see, never be visually obtrusive, and you'll actually make use of this essentially wasted space that's under the riser there, as well as help prevent any sort of reverberation that might come from having this riser that's built. So a lot of what you can do in this room can be hidden. And then, if you want to add some more to the very back wall and the first reflection points on the side walls, I'd say that's good to go. That'll get you a very nice, not super dead, but not super reflective sound.
Realistically, I would like it if this document scrolled. Realistically, what does he need in terms of spacing between seating rows and the depth of the front, the false front wall? It's between the seating rows and the depth of the so the first row or all the rows?
He basically wants to know what should his distances be. He's got this rough plan,
right?
But he's trying to figure out what should realistically his distances be. Now he's got just slightly over 2 feet as the depth of the false wall, and that to me makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I would have the false wall being about 2 feet deep. That makes perfect sense. Now, one thing, I don't know exactly how deep his bar is, and I know from watching any home improvement shows where they build a bar, the minimum space for a bar should be 8 feet. That is like the number that is always thrown out there. Like 9 or 10, so much the better, but 8 feet is like the minimum. You've got the space from, you're going to have some shelves probably on that back wall. It's unusual to build a bar space without some shelves on the back wall. That eats up a little bit of space. Then you need at least a 3-foot walkway. And then the bar itself is not going to be like a shallow little table. It's going to have some depth to it. So they almost always say, leave yourself 8 feet in the room for the depth of your bar. Now, if he does all that, that's leaving him, 14 feet from where the bar is to where the screen is, which is fine for 2 rows of seats. And actually, I think works out really nicely in terms of choosing your screen size as well. So what I would do, I would put the first row, because he's like, the first row, less important. It doesn't matter if it's this huge, gigantic screen. I would put the first row at like 8 feet from eyes to screen. And then because those seats, the front row aren't going to be recliners, you don't need more than 5.5 feet between the first row and the second row. So the second row can have their eyes at 13.5 feet from the screen. And that all works out beautifully because you can get a screen that's 130 inches wide, and that gets him like the 45-degree field of view that he wants in the second row. If he goes 16 by 9, that's a 150-inch screen, which is a standard size, and is just at the threshold of what most projectors can light nicely. If you go much bigger than that, projectors start struggling, but 150 inches, modern projectors can do that quite nicely. If you went for a 2.35 to 1 aspect ratio screen, it would end up being 142 inches diagonal. Same 130-inch width, so that's what I'm focusing on. Get a screen that's 130 inches wide. But I think those distances work out, and there's nothing in his diagrams that make it look like he can't use those distances. So a 2-foot false wall, an 8-foot bar, first row, eyes to screen, 8 feet, second row, eyes to screen, 13.5 feet. And I think that works out.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah, sure. I'm not sure about this 8 feet for this bar. I'm thinking, this is just my guess. My guess was the plan here. Like, I kind of messed it up by saying put your subwoofer underneath there. My guess, the plan here is there was going to be the bar and everything was going to be below it.
Right.
But I might be wrong about that because I don't see anything in the back wall, and he's got that square in the back left corner there, which I'm guessing we're going to get to in a few minutes here. But I don't know, man. We'll see what he has. Maybe he just means that there's going to be a bar to sit at, and there's not going to actually be a bar.
Right, maybe.
With shelving and,
It actually all still works out nicely, though, because you don't want to go too much more than 13.5 feet for your primary row, because then you start needing a screen that's just too large for a lot of projectors.
All right, he says he's quite concerned about where to put his AV rack. It won't be just for the theater gear, but also house his whole home audio system and networking gear. He doesn't want it behind the false wall at the front because he'll probably be accessing it frequently. Why can't you just make a way for you to go through the false wall? I don't know, but whatever. I guess he doesn't want to do that. His initial plan is to put it in the rear left corner. That's what that box is. But he's concerned about easy access to the back panel, which direction the front of the AV rack should face, and whether he will have enough room. What are our thoughts? Why do you have to put it in this room at all? Is my thought. Why does it have to be in here?
There was actually a diagram of the whole thing where it seems like what's behind the theater is a utility room. Like on the other side of the wall where the bar is going to be, on the other side of that, it appears to be a utility room. So you could, if there's enough space, use that to double. But I mean, if you get one of like the sort of the prefabricated racks from from Sanis or from Peerless, or from Chief or someone like that, I mean, all of them have models that have casters so that you can quite easily rotate or pull them out from the wall a little bit to access the back. That is
you can look this up. There are tons
common
of racks out there that not only have casters, which I think are not very convenient, but have the inside of the rack will pull forward and
actually
out.
pull forward. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and come out.
Yeah, they're almost like a semi-permanent install. Like they form their own almost like mini little closet, and then you can actually pull.
And if
the
you
whole
do
rack system
have
outward.
a something behind you that you can use a little bit of that space, you can put it right in that corner where it is right now, what you're talking about. But it's actually be embedded in the wall. And then what you would do is you would build a box around it so that all the gear was in there. There's a little window there that you could see through, or maybe there's not, but I would probably put a window there because it would look nice. And then the rack itself, you would just grab it and pull it out, and it would pull out and then turn to the side where you can access everything.
Yeah.
Yes, you have to have all your cables and all that other stuff, but whatever, it doesn't make any difference. You build a box in the back there the same way you would build the box for everything else. For the room, you would double drywall or green glue and all that other stuff in there, and it would just be the same thing. And then you could actually put your subwoofer in that corner.
It's building a little closet.
Yeah. And you could put your subwoofer right where you were going to put this thing, depending on how tall your rack is, how much stuff is going to be in there.
Yeah,
but frankly, if it were me, I would probably just put it all in this other room, not have it access,
Sure.
And then, make it ugly. Nobody, just put it someplace where nobody's going to go in, and make it ugly, but accessible. And then all you need is an IR repeater, and then you're good to go.
Or if you're using a Harmony hub that has radio frequency, you don't even need that. So.
Yeah, that's true too. It depends on
Don't even need line of sight if you're using that. There you go.
All right. Those are our suggestions. Want your question answered? Send it to question@avrant.com. This is AVRant.
Now go out and listen to something.